close quarters. Mile offshore, I can see the lamp in your hand, beckoning me. I say I need a safe place to land. Mile offshore, guess I'm home, my friend. Catch a full night of sleep again. I'm not going back out again, my friend. Mile offshore, it looks like 73. So little has changed, this one pub village I see. The windows glisten, the hills are green. I hear your voice calling out to me. From here we both could be 17 again. I hear your mother and father are gone. They say I'm not the type you can depend upon. Looking back from this line of sight, I can only say your mother and father were right. Mile offshore, the dolphins dance by my hull, circling me to the lilting song of the gulls. I know that's what I've been sailing toward. When I tie down, you can climb aboard. For a little dance, it's a sweet reward to ourselves. From my long, clear history of selfish deeds, I come home with only apologies. There's no blame if you turn your back. To hell with that, you're out there waiting for me. Mile offshore, I can see the lamp in your hand, beckoning me. Said I need a safe place to land. Hi, Linda. Mile offshore, guess I'm home, my friend. Catch a full night of sleep again. I'm not going back out again, my friend. Mile offshore, guess I'm home, my friend. Catch a full night of sleep again. I'm not going back out again, my friend. Mile offshore, I can see the lamp in your hand. Oh, 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 oh. Mile offshore, guess I found a safe place to land. Oh, 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 oh. Mile offshore, oh, oh, oh. Mile offshore, oh, oh, oh. Mile offshore, oh, oh, oh. Mile offshore. From 2021. You know, the focus today is going to be on 2011, songs that are just turned 10 years old this year, but also 2010, songs that are 20 years old. You know, going back 1991, 30 years old, 1981, 40 years old. So what about 1971? The fact of the matter is I don't have any 1971 songs. I didn't write anything, and it went 50 years ago. My first song, as you know, my first song came in 1972. So next year I'll be able to go back 50 years to a song, but not today. Not today. I've got one from 1981, song that I wrote in 81. You've heard it. Wrote it, forgot about it, heard myself when I was converting a bunch of cassette tapes to hi Terry, cassette tapes to MPEG or whatever, the MP3 about 10 years ago, and started playing this song. And as you know, the woman who was tending the bar or the pouring the coffee in the coffee shop I was playing in told me that someday I'm going to play this song, and somebody's going to tape it. It's going to go on the social media, and it's going to go viral, and all my problems will be solved. And that was about 20 years ago. Remember how I sat here and presumed to know the truth. I thought words could cure a heartache like the sun can melt the ice. What did I really think I knew? I'd love to hear my own advice. A lover is a lover, they're all pretty much the same. If one goes bad, there's others who can please you just as nice. Why can't I seem to break away? I'd love to hear my own advice. Whatever lies between the wise man and the fool must be a very narrow line. What did I really think I knew? I'd love to hear my own advice. I think of all the fools who came, trusted what I said. Even I was learning to, believing I was wise. But now I strain my aching head, trying to hear my own advice. Whatever lies between the wise man and the fool must be a very narrow line. What did I really think I knew? I'd love to hear my own advice. Remember how I sat here and presumed to know the truth. I thought words could cure a heartache like the sun can melt the ice. What did I really think I knew? I'd love to hear my own advice. 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 1981. A long, long time ago, 40 years ago. I'd only been writing songs for 9 years at that point, but a lot of my life had gone by at that point. I mean, I'd started college, I dropped out of college, I became a musician, I was on the road with Baby Lester and the Buggy Bumpers, came back off the road, worked for that record producer, wrote a lot of my best work in 1978, went back to college, and by 1981 I was in my senior year of college actually. So all of my living basically was before I wrote that song for the most part. But now it's been 40 years. So that's 1981. Then another 10 years goes by, and my sister gets married. I get married. My little sister has a little boy, Bobby Prine, and for whatever crazy-ass reason, my sister decides it'd be a good idea to make me Bobby's godfather. And so we go out to San Diego for Bobby's christening, and while we're out there, we decide to take the ferry to Coronado. I got 3 days left in the Golden West. The choices we make today may be our memories for years and years to come. We can see the art at Balboa Park, spend a day at the zoo. Everything we do seems it's on the run. Let's take the ferry to Coronado. We can catch some sun, some lazy fun. My nephew and me on the ferry to Coronado. We can sit a spell at the Hotel Del, but not in the afternoon, because the dining room's a little too rich for us. We can always walk through the little shops. We can play in the sand, stand and watch the old man with the paints and brush. Let's take the ferry to Coronado. We can catch some sun, some lazy fun. My nephew and me on the ferry to Coronado. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hi, Randy. Oh, oh, oh. Someday, years from now, my thoughts will wander down to here. But you're so young, you won't remember it, I fear. Let's take the ferry to Coronado. We can catch some sun, some lazy fun. My nephew and me on the ferry to Coronado. Let's take the ferry to Coronado. We can catch some sun, some lazy fun. My nephew and me on the ferry to Coronado. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, oh, oh. Ferry to Coronado, so that's 1991. Now, can take us up to 2001. That's 20 years ago. See what I can. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now I can see the comments. Good or bad, at least I can see the comments. You can see this thing. This is that light, the light that's shining on my face here. It's in the picture today. Anyway, 2001, I'm out of school. I've been out of school for about 14 years, and yeah, it's about that. And I'm working. In that year, I'm president of the Metro Arts Alliance. I'm playing with that band with Bob Rigg, and for Metro Arts on 4th of July. We sponsor the event, the big concert on the Capitol steps, where they bring in some singers, and then they have the Des Moines Symphony, and they play the 1812 Overture, and they have the howitzer cannons from the National Guard up there going off during the 1812 Overture. And I'm right below those howitzer cannons. And then the next night, I got to play at this bar, this little tiny bar up on Hickman Avenue with Bob and the band. And I'm right in front of Bob's amp. And Bob was a loud guitar player. He liked to play loud. Bob. Yeah, he was the leader of the band. But he's a loud guitar player. And after that, well, I wrote this song, and you can figure out what it's about. I'm losing my hearing since I'm playing with this band. I'll just tell you, don't you stand too close to Bobby's amp or even mine. I hear this ringing all the time. I just hear this ringing all the time. Somebody's talking to me. I'm not even hip. If I could see her talking to me, I could read her lips, and that's a sign. I hear this ringing all the time. I just hear this ringing all the time. If someone would have told me what rock and roll would hold for me, I might have chose a different route. Country, western, jazz, at least not play this rock and roll so loud. Someone would have told me what rock and roll would hold for me, I might have chose a different route. Country, western, jazz, at least not play this rock and roll so loud. If you're standing out there, baby, grooving with the band, I got just one thing to say: don't stand too close to Bobby's amp or even mine. I hear this ringing all the time. I just hear this ringing all the time. Even mine, hear this ringing all the time. I just hear this ringing all the time. Even mine, hear this ringing all the time. I just hear this ringing all the time. Ringing all the time. Picked it up that weekend, and to this day, right now as I perform, I've got my constant companion, that's tinnitus in the back of my head, you know. I'd like to blame it on the Des Moines Symphony and blame it on Bob. I don't know that I can do that entirely because my dad has it too. He blames it on being at the Air Force and having to be around all those boxcar airplanes, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's 2001. So we've done 1981, we did 1991. I did one from 2001. And then the focus of this live stream really is 10 years later, 2011. And I say it starts out in Hawaii. Actually, some of the songs I'll play later I wrote earlier in the year. But one of the main things that happened in 2011 was we took a trip to Hawaii. Not the first time we've been to Hawaii, actually. We had been there several times since 2002. After 9/11, they were just giving trips away. You know, they wanted people to travel. So that was our first trip to Hawaii. But anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute. But one of the things that I do want to, I'm going to take the hat off for this one. One of the things that I do want to talk about today isn't 20 years ago today, and isn't 10 years ago today, and it isn't 30 or 40 years ago today. It's 80 years ago today, and we all know what happened 80 years ago today. President Roosevelt, you know, said it was a day that will live in infamy, and it certainly has. And you know what's coming next? This is a song that I didn't write in a year ending with 1. I wrote it last year, 2020, but I recorded it in 2021, and it's on my new CD, my new album, Mile Offshore. But my tribute to the World War II veterans. You know, we wouldn't have World War II veterans if it wasn't for what happened 80 years ago today at Pearl Harbor. You know, I've been to Pearl Harbor a few times since we go to Hawaii a lot. I bet we've been there 5 times and visited the USS Arizona, which is under the water. And I don't know how many of you have been there, but you know, there's the visitor center, and then there's the memorial, which is over the Arizona. So you actually go in, and the boat's down below, and you can see like the smokestacks and stuff under the water. And you know, it's been 80 years and stuff. And one of the things about the Arizona Memorial is that the oil is still seeping out. You still see oil slicks coming up out of the boat 80 years later. Another interesting thing about the Arizona is that there's a little chapel in the memorial, a very somber chapel for the people that died down there. They get to choose. I guess they don't choose, but I guess their family got to choose whether to inter them, to leave them on the ship. And so there are the remains of the servicemen that died on December 7th, 1941 are still on the Arizona. And then other people that died in Pearl Harbor are also laid to rest inside the Arizona. And then the deal basically is that if you served in Pearl Harbor at that point in time, and you lived to be 80, 90 years old, and you died after that, if you chose, they would lay your remains to rest on the Arizona, and they'd take you down with scuba divers and put you to rest inside the ship. And so there were all these World War II veterans buried, whose remains, I don't say they're buried, but they're in the ship down there. I was talking about it last night to a brand new neighbor of mine who was an Army colonel who was stationed until very recently in Honolulu. He says there's one person left actually that was there that day that qualifies to be, if he chooses, to be buried under the water in the Arizona Memorial, and I don't think they know yet what his decision's going to be. But anyway, 80 years ago today, and then after that there were 3.5 years of hell, and all the America, 16 million Americans answered the call, and they went over there and they went through hell. They saved the world. They came back. They started long, productive, happy lives. Our bankers, our lawyers, our priests, our uncles, our neighbors bought houses, had children, and over the years, they kind of, the numbers decreased, and now we're down to a point where there are not too many left, and that's kind of a tragedy, as I think. Favorite high school teacher, I was baptized by the preacher, who always held a sadness in his eye. My cranky Uncle Harold and his fishing buddy Clyde, they were heroes living ordinary lives. Heroes living ordinary lives. Growing up in Springfield, they were everywhere you went. I know that there's a story, but I haven't heard it yet. Something about D-Day and the Battle of the Bulge. There are tales you don't care to divulge. With a 35-year mortgage, it was all about the kids. Like the horrors of the past, we'll never find out where you lived. You went off to save the world. You weren't even 22. You say it's just what any decent man would do. My favorite high school teacher, I was baptized by the preacher, who always held a sadness in his eye. My cranky Uncle Harold and his fishing buddy Clyde, they were heroes living ordinary lives. Heroes living ordinary lives. I tried to ask my dad what he was up to in the war. He said there's a lot I don't remember anymore. In the middle of the ocean where so many brothers fell, I don't want to go back to that hell. My mother's Uncle Michael, he was in the OSS. What he walked into at Dachau, tried for decades to suppress. He came back and went through college in the struggle to forget. In '59 he drank himself to death. My favorite high school teacher, I was baptized by the preacher, who always held a sadness in his eye. My cranky Uncle Harold and his fishing buddy Clyde, they were heroes living ordinary lives. Heroes living ordinary lives. Whoa, I hate to see them go, but I reckon there's a handful still alive. Good sir, didn't realize who you were until after you had died. My favorite high school teacher, I was baptized by the preacher, who always held a sadness in his eye. My cranky Uncle Harold and his fishing buddy Clyde, they were heroes living ordinary lives. Heroes living ordinary lives. My favorite high school teacher, I was baptized by the preacher, who always held a sadness in his eye. My cranky Uncle Harold and his fishing buddy Clyde, they were heroes living ordinary lives. 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 One time I mentioned this on Facebook today. One time we were back in Honolulu, and sometimes just they have these buses that you can buy a full day ticket or full week ticket actually. Just ride the buses the whole time. Thank you, Linda. It's like a little tour of Waikiki, and you just get on, get off whenever you want, and see all the sights. And sometimes I'll just buy it for the whole week, and off and on the whole time we're there, I'll just get on and off the bus, and I could be a guide. Actually, I've been on that Circle Island tour so many times. I could be a guide. I did the Circle Island tour of the Big Island the first year we were there, and I don't know if you've seen pictures of yesterday in the Big Island, but they had a blizzard. They had a blizzard in the Big Island in Hawaii. They had a blizzard. They got 4 feet of snow. It's I don't know if it's 4 feet, but it's measurable. It's more than we got here, and we don't have any here. But it'll probably be gone tomorrow. But at any rate, anyway, I could be a guide of one of those tours, because I've been there so many times. But one time I was riding on the bus. We're kind of going on the east coast, riding up the coast and everything, and a bunch of young Japanese girls get on. They were students, for Japanese students, and not much English. There's a lot of Asian people take vacations in Hawaii because it's just as close to Asia and close to Japan as it is to San Francisco in the United States. But these young girls wanted to go to Pearl Harbor. And the bus was going the wrong way, so somebody had to explain to them that they have to get off and get on the bus going this way. And I started wondering, I wonder how they see that. I wonder how they see Pearl Harbor. If that's like, high five, they got the big win and everything there. Things didn't work out for them after that. I mean, that was like that and a few battles after that, and a few battles that went on for 4 years actually after that. But that was really the peak of their strength militarily. And they never really came back after that. Militarily, they've come back economically and everything, but you just wonder how they view that. We had not to digress a little bit, but in 1976, my mother brought actually from Japan. It was a Japanese teacher on an exchange program, and he lived in our house for 2 weeks, and it was amazing what he didn't know. They didn't, he was born in like 1945, so he was born when the war ended. And we talked to him about the war. He knew almost nothing about the war. When back in the days when you did this here as kids in the United States, and I'm sure we don't do this anymore, but kids would play cowboys and Indians, And what he told us was that, they didn't have cowboys and Indians, but the bad people that were coming to get you, MacArthur's coming. He didn't know what that meant, but they had to look out for MacArthur. And while he was there, while he was with us, Mao Zedong died, and we were touring my high school actually, and that's where we learned that Mao Zedong had passed away. And I was interested, the relationship between Japan and China historically has never been good. One's been invading the other over and over again through the recorded history going back to the beginning of time, and. How does a Japanese person view Mao Zedong? He didn't know who he was. He didn't know who Mao Zedong was. So anyway, 80 years ago today, so it was, the first time we visited there, 2002, was 57 years after that. And then 9 years after that, so 66 years after Pearl Harbor, we were visiting for maybe the fifth or sixth time, probably about the fifth or sixth time. And you've heard this story before, but being a musician, what you do when you go to a new place, you go to the music stores. What do they have in the music stores? What are they selling? And in Hawaii, the first thing you learn, you go into the music stores, and it's ukuleles. It's the late string guitars and stuff. We look at them, at least we did back in those days, as like a toy, a little 4-string toy. They don't look at them that way, but they all had them, and they weren't you go into the music stores, and they weren't the little toys that they sold in the ABC stores for $39. These things started at $200, and they went up into the thousands of dollars for a ukulele. And I started thinking to myself, I could buy one of these high-end ukuleles, come back to Des Moines. I could be the ukulele guy. I could be the guy they called on when they needed a ukulele player, But then it occurred to me that would make me a bigger laughingstock than I already am. So I resisted temptation and I didn't buy one. So then we came back 2 years later. I went and we saw that Don Ho, the Tiny Bubbles guy, that made the ukulele famous actually in Western culture, I suppose, and pop culture. What I saw was that before he came out, he brought out all his young proteges, the high school kids and the college kids and stuff like that, and all playing ukuleles, and they're tearing it up. I mean, they're playing jazz music, they're playing classical music and everything on ukuleles, and they're sounding great. I mean, you can make one of those things sound good. So then I went into one of those music stores and I bought a $80 starter uke, and another long one from Tom. I'll have to read it when I get done playing tonight. But I bought an $80 starter uke, and for the rest of the time I was there, sat out in the lanai every night for 2 hours, and because it's a time zone, you never sleep, and worked on this starter uke. And then I never touched it again after that. And I went home, and then we went again and again and again, and I resisted temptation. I never spent money on an ukulele after that. So then 2011, that's 10 years ago this year, we're in Honolulu, and I get through the whole week, no problem. We get down to the very last day, and you know what it's like when you vacation in Honolulu in Hawaii. They kick you out of your hotels at 11 o'clock in the morning, and the planes don't leave till 10 o'clock at night, so you're homeless all day. So basically, Pam wants to go souvenir shopping. So okay, so we'll do that, and we go in every little souvenir shop, and she's got to put her hands on every snow globe and refrigerator magnet and T-shirt in that place, and it's killing me. It's like the Bataan Death March, And finally, I say, okay, I'm going back to the hotel. I'm going to sit by the pool. You can souvenir shop to your heart's content, and she was fine with that. So that's what we did. So I'm walking back to the hotel room. I get just before the hotel. There's one last music store down there, and I'm walking by, and I just glance in the window. I look straight in, and what do I see? But I see an all mahogany Martin ukulele. And my primary instrument is this all mahogany Martin D15 that Dirk Newton sold me in 2001. And so I'm thinking, well, that thing's calling my name, that one's there for me. And so I go in there and I drop, I buy it. But I haven't sent it to my office because I'm not going to let Pam know that I just dropped $500 on an ukulele, So when I pay the money, I go home. I got to go to Washington, D.C. the next week. I'm staying in Arlington at the Crystal City, and I'm in my hotel room, and I still haven't gotten the ukulele, the Martin, yet from Hawaii. But I brought that little starter uke along, and I wrote my first ukulele song. By now, by the way, Pam knows that I have a ukulele, 10 years later. What she doesn't know is that I've got like 12 of them, I think. She knows about this one. This isn't the little Martin mahogany, which is a nice instrument, but it's a standard soprano uke, so it's a little tiny thing. So I look like Barney the dinosaur playing it, and it doesn't have any pickups in it, so I can't play it over my PA. Reminds me to jack up the PA. So at any rate, now I've got 12 of them. So I'm in my little hotel room in Crystal City, Virginia, and I wrote my first ukulele song, and this is it. Don't read in what I do, any thread of reason, it depends upon the season. You can always set your clock, why switch on and I switch off in front of you. What you need that I can't give is a love that isn't changing every hour of the day. You need to take what's in the box. I know that's simply not the way to live. I think of all the things I'm doing to maintain my grip on you. It would be one thing if they helped me fall in love with me again, but I don't live. Thank you, Tom. Is that you? I don't win. So I'll stay who I am. You say a man is what he chooses, and I know I'm the one who loses if I insist on being me, refusing to concede the upper hand. I'm not completely blind, I know I'm holding on for time when it finally gets to me. Compared to all the other men, I don't win. Oh, I don't win. I think of all the things I'm doing to maintain my grip on you. It would be one thing if they helped you fall in love with me again, but I don't win. Oh, I don't win. Oh, I don't win. I Don't Win, my first ukulele song. My CD that year was called Year of the Jumping Flea. In the Hawaiian language, the word for jumping flea, or the word ukulele, means jumping flea because when they essentially what the instrument is a kind of a combination of instruments that were brought to Hawaii by the sailors from Spain and Portugal, wherever they came from. And they weren't actually like this. They were different types of small, it might be like mandolins and stuff like that. But they watched the way their fingers moved. And my fingers don't move like jumping fleas, but some of those great musicians do. Andrew Hoyt's might, you know. There are people, certainly Jake Shimabukuro, his fingers fly like jumping fleas on the ukulele, not mine. But anyway, I wrote a series of ukulele songs that year, and about half of my CD that year were ukulele songs. This one, somebody who I worked with was talking about they had just gotten a new dog, and they thought it was a good thing for their little girl. Well, the little girl was not happy about it because the little dog was getting all the attention, and wrote in her little journal that she felt like she was fading because the little dog was getting all the attention. The walls to my security, how fragile they can be. I woke up in my world today. Now what becomes of me? It's nothing that you've done or said, but I can plainly see. Feels like I'm fading, not even there. When I tell you I'm fading, you make like you don't really care. I don't know where you are right now, don't know where I stand. Feels like I'm fading, I'm the invisible man. You're saying there's no danger here, that I haven't lost your love. But every time you say it now, it isn't what it was. The more I try to reel you back, the more distant you become. Feels like I'm fading, not even there. When I tell you I'm fading, you make like you don't really care. I don't know where you are right now, don't know where I stand. Feels like I'm fading, I'm the invisible man. I know I'm fading, I know there's nothing I can do. I know I'm no match for the winds that blow me far away from you. Feels like I'm fading, not even there. When I tell you I'm fading, you make like you don't really care. I don't know where you are right now, don't know where I stand. Feels like I'm fading, I'm the invisible man. Feels like I'm fading, I'm the invisible man. Feels like I'm fading, I'm the invisible man. You know, and I always say about ukulele songs, you know, I wrote a bunch of them, but no matter what key I write them in or what time signature, they all sound the same. This one is one that eats away at my memory sometimes. We'll see if I can do it, but this one sounds a little different, so I wrote this one the same year. Not liking you enough is not the problem. I act like this because to tell you would be way too big a risk. So I bite my upper lip, choosing just to live with it. I got no clue to how you see me, I never do. I act this way with everyone like you. It always winds up here with me sulking in this rocking chair. I choose to live with it because all my inner voices say you're way too big a risk. Choose to live with it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Someday, maybe 7 years from now, I'll meet you on the street. We'll talk about the hold you had on me. We'll say I should have spoken up. I'll say I thought I made it plain enough. I choose to live with it because all my inner voices say you're way too big a risk. Choose to live with it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. I choose to live with it because all my inner voices say you're way too big a risk. Choose to live with it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Not liking you enough is not the problem. So another ukulele song, and there's more, and I'll get to them actually, but I'm going to break it up a little because I didn't just write ukulele songs in 2011. Flanagan's. I was playing at Flanagan's one evening, and a woman came up to me and said, "Write a song about me." And you know how I respond to that, you know. But okay, I'll write a song about you. Well, I put down the guitar, I'm talking to this blonde. "If you want this," she said, "put me in a song. If you want a date, if you want to know my name, that's the stake to buy into this game. Put me in a song. Put me in a song. Put me in a song. If I did that, I said I'd never live it down. I'd be writing tunes for every chick in town. She says, well, I don't care about any other girl. That's the price. If you want to rock my world, put me in a song. Put me in a song. Put me in a song. Now you better not have writer's block today. When you take the stage on Friday, better come with something new to play. Put me in a song. 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 Another song from August of 2011. I do everything I can to keep these things from falling on the floor so I don't have to bend over while people are watching me, but it never works, never works. So, thank you, Randy. I'm assuming that's a positive comment. I can't see much from here, especially wearing these dark glasses, you know. The price of being cool, you know, is you can't see what people are writing about you. Put me in a song. So there's a lot of things going on in 2011. One of them, which was not pleasant, my friend, my boss, Nick Dries, came down with a very rare form of cancer, untreatable. You know, they did everything they could, but it was untreatable. But he fought like a trooper, really, for that whole year of 2011. And actually, I think it was when I was in Hawaii, then things got really serious. And we came back and found out, and he was fighting all year. And things like you got to know this guy. He was a saint. This guy was a saint. He's one of the three smartest people I ever met. Didn't flaunt that. Was the best boss I ever had. He had to put up with me, which, I've only had like 2 bosses my whole life that actually survived the experience. And he wasn't one of them, unfortunately, but he was my good friend. There was one point in May of that year, after the Washington trip, and I went to Worcester, Massachusetts for my Aunt Betty's, her 90th birthday party. Or no, it would have been her 80th birthday party because she had her 90th this year. But at any rate, the day before I was supposed to play in the Greenwood, actually, and I came down with my first kidney stone. And if you ever had a kidney stone, it's like nothing. They say there's no pain like it. I've never had a baby, so I don't know how that feels, but there's nothing like it. And but I wasn't going to miss my Greenwood gig. I was going to make it, kidney stone or not. But at any rate, I had that. Kidney stone pretty much passed. Then on the weekend, flew to Worcester, Massachusetts. I flew to Hartford, drove up to Worcester, went to my aunt's birthday party, and then I was coming back. I was sitting in the airport on the way back, and I was looking at some of the exchange of emails, at work and everything. And there was an email from Nick, my boss, to the other staff saying, "How's John doing?" And at first, I'd forgotten by then because it was like 6 days, and my memory wasn't even good then, but I'd forgotten about the kidney stone. And here's this guy that's suffering from one of the most incurable forms of cancer, fast spreading, asking how I'm doing. That's the kind of guy Nick was. But at any rate, he had us all thinking. He was going through all kinds of experimental treatment and everything, and he had us all thinking that he was going to beat it and all that. And he started to actually show up at the office a little bit late in the summer. And before he got sick, I'd be playing gigs in coffee houses and stuff, and he would show up. He had twin daughters and a son, and he would show up with his kids and have them watch my show. I never said it was exposing them to culture really, but it was exposing them to something that really nobody else ever sees. But he would do that, and he was talking when he was coming back to the office late in like August. He was talking about bringing the kids out to see me play again. So I thought, well, I'm going to write something for Nick. And so I decided I'm going to write a song called Harvard Boy. This wasn't something that Nick bragged about, but he graduated summa cum laude and everything from Harvard and undergrad. So I was going to write a song called Harvard Boy. So I wrote this sappy little ballad and everything for Nick. And then it occurred to me, Nick doesn't want that. So then I wrote this song. And so this is down the line of really more of what Nick would like. And so I wrote this song, and then it got to be the end of September, and Nick had taken the bad turn, and we knew it was just a matter of time, really. As you know, I always record my CDs, my albums, October. I start the 1st of October and spend the whole month doing it. I mix them all down the last week. So I recorded this one first, and I mixed it down right away, and I made an MP3, and I sent it over to Nick's house like the first week in October, saying it's something you ought to hear. And I don't think Nick ever really got this, because I think he went on the 10th or the 11th. I think it was the 10th. Should I turn down the guitar? Just a That's better. Got to remember when I go from ook to the guitar, I got to turn it down. But the other thing was, when you're going to turn down your guitar, don't kick over the $2,000 ukulele either. Well, we're not that strong, and we're not that much to look at, and we don't win a lot of awards, but I doubt we really want that. But that don't mean we don't push back. While you're here, you should step into the break room. There's something to see on the wall. I think it will impress you. It's time we took you back to school. Well, my boss is a Harvard boy. I'm so proud of me. I'm just a heartbeat from an Ivy League degree. He don't brag about it, but I do every day. My boss is a Harvard boy. Your boss went to State. Maybe your boss went to Drake. He's got the open door, and he's got the good intentions, and he's also got this IQ. It's way too high to mention. God help the fool who takes him on. Well, my boss is a Harvard boy. I'm so proud of me. I'm just a heartbeat from an Ivy League degree. He don't brag about it, but I do every day. My boss is a Harvard boy. Your boss went to State. Maybe your boss went to Drake. Sometimes I sit in his chair when he's not there late at night. Sometimes I try on the bow tie. It's not a pretty sight. Well, my boss is a Harvard boy. I'm so proud of me. I'm just a heartbeat from an Ivy League degree. He don't brag about it, but I do every day. My boss is a Harvard boy. Your boss went to State. Maybe your boss went to Drake. Oh, my boss is a Harvard boy. Yeah, maybe your boss went to Drake. Hey, 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 hey. Harvard boy. So that's one from 2011. Now, another thing about 2011, and most of you who are listening have heard these before, was that early in 2011, I was going through kind of a writer's slump. I am kind of now, actually, too. I do write every day, but, they're not flowing out. Thank you, Linda. The hits aren't flowing out right now, and they weren't over the winter of 2010, 2011. And that went on. And then all of a sudden, there was 1 week in February 2011 that in 4 days, I got 3 songs out that I really liked. This is the first of the 3. I memorized them all right away and started playing. There were 3 really nice photos taken of me at the Ben and Finley's Deacon Day at People's downtown on Court Avenue. I wish I could remember off the top of my head the name of the woman that took the pictures, but I was playing this song actually when she took them for the first time. Tell I've done time. I don't hold anything inside. I put up my fantasies like a big highway sign. This may be a little premature, but I cannot defer. Every time I mention you, sounds like a guilty plea. Sometime I didn't do. Every time I say your name, man, I give myself away. Just stab in the dark. Maybe completely off the mark. I'm not even asking you. I'm just bearing my heart. Reckon I'm not smart enough to lie, but it's too big to hide. Every time I mention you, sounds like a guilty plea. Some crime I didn't do. Every time I say your name, man, I give myself away. Reckon I'm not smart enough to lie, but it's too big to hide. Every time I mention you, sounds like a guilty plea. Some crime I didn't do. Every time I say your name, man, I give myself away. Whoa, every time I mention you, sounds like a guilty plea. Some crime I didn't do. Every time I say your name, man, I give myself away. So that's the first of the 3 songs that I wrote in February of 2011 to dig myself out of that writer's slump I was in. This is the second one. No story about the second one, only that it's really the song between the first one and the third one, which, as you know, is my hit. Well, the only other thing I can say about this song is that when I played it for the first time at the Northland Studios at one of Sean Palak's art shows, this is the only time that Sean Palak ever told me to turn down, was when I was playing this song. I remember this recurring theme. Some pretty lady merely smiles at me, and I go crazy till the cows come home. Show my colors and I'm all alone. Here I go again. Will it ever end? I've forgotten where the boundaries are. Shed all my reason trying to get this part. I know you'll hate me for the fires I start. I've forgotten where the boundaries are. I'm gonna set you on the highest plane. I'm gonna tremble when I speak your name. Early on you'll say it's sweet, I'll bet, but soon enough you'll wish we'd never met. That's the way I am. It gets out of hand. I've forgotten where the boundaries are. Shed all my reason trying to get this part. I know you'll hate me for the fires I start. I've forgotten where the boundaries are. I'm afraid it's true. I set my sights on you. Here I go again. It's like I don't know where I've been. I've forgotten where the boundaries are. Shed all my reason trying to get this part. I know you'll hate me for the fires I start. I've forgotten where the boundaries are. I know you'll hate me for the fires I start. I've forgotten where the boundaries are. I know you'll hate me for the fires I start. I've forgotten where the boundaries are. Where the boundaries are. The second of the two songs, and then the third of the three songs. This is my hit. I'm going to go through the story. I know you've all heard it, but the reason I know it's my hit is because back in those days, I had a routine that I followed pretty much every day of my life. I've got a routine now, but it's different. And then back in that period of time, in 2011, I was getting up at 6 o'clock, sending the wife off early to work at 6:30. I was doing an hour on the piano up here in the music room. Then I would go downstairs. I'd take the dog out. It was Gucci at the time, another little West Highland White Terrier like Bella is now, and take her out, come back in the house, and say, hey, Gucci, you want to watch some TV? And like Bella, like my dog right now, Gucci liked to watch television, and she liked music too. And so she would scamper up the stairs, and she would jump into the bed, and I'd put on Puppy Bowl, which was that recording of that game that the dogs play, the football games, while everybody else is watching the Super Bowl. If you don't want to watch the Super Bowl, you watch these little puppies run around on a football field, and that gives you hours of entertainment, I guess. Well, it gave Gucci hours of entertainment. But I wrote these songs. I wrote this one on Sunday and Monday. It took me 2 days to finish it, and I had it memorized by Wednesday because I really liked it. And so I worked it into on Wednesday. I worked it into one of my sets, and Gucci's there she's watching the Puppy Bowl, and I get to this song, and as soon as I start playing it, she gives me one of those cartoon triple takes, like boo, like that, and she walks over to the edge of the bed, and she sits down on the bed and just stares at me the whole time with love in her eyes. She doesn't even blink. She's just got love in her eyes. And I'm like, stop staring at me, Gucci, you're making me nervous. But she wouldn't. She just kept staring at me. So I played all the way through. And even after I was done, I'd say, it kind of trails off in the end. And even after I'm done, I bet there was like a minute or two that she just kept staring at me with love in her eyes. Now, the rest of the story, as you know, is that, as we all know, our friends, our dogs, they don't last forever, unfortunately. And it was 2015, so it was 4 years later, Gucci started to develop kidney failure. And we had her for 9 months after she was diagnosed. She really didn't suffer until the last day, but we knew she wasn't going to make it. And we made it the best 9 months of her life, really, though. We'd be bringing home filet mignon from restaurants, bringing home whole rotisserie chickens. She was going for a ride every night to the Dairy Queen. I was buying her ice cream and everything. And we made it the best 9 months of her life. She was treated like a queen. But then the day come. It was the last day of November, 2015, and I knew it was the time had come. She was in pain that day. She was just staggering around. I called up the vet and I said, tomorrow, and they said okay. They knew it was coming, and actually, she didn't make me do it. I've never had a dog to this date that made me do it, because she went that night before we could take her in. But at any rate, rather than make her scamper upstairs and listen to me practice, I brought the guitar downstairs to the family room and played practice down there. When I got to this song, she was, every other song, she was just staggering around in pain, just limping around the room. I got to this song, she sat down and watched me all the way through. This is the last song I played for the best fan I ever had up to that point. Looking down on 2nd Street, I don't see your car. There must be 10 good reasons why you're doing this again. Wish I just knew what they are. Seems like it was yesterday. I couldn't chase you out, so I killed the light and locked the inside door. Baby, what's that all about? I put off Santa Fe because you asked me to. Now 7 months slip by and where are you? Somewhere deep inside of me, I still believe it's true. I'm looking down on 2nd Street. I don't see what I need to see. This isn't what was promised me. I know it isn't fairy times, but I don't think I can bear tonight to not see what I want to see. Looking down on 2nd Street, looking out on 2nd Street. You can see the sunlight coming now, and I haven't even dozed. There's some big fat teardrops dripping down off of both sides of my nose. Now I have to be to work in just an hour or two. So I brush my teeth while I still look out for you. Set the white flag on the countertop, 'cause darling, I refuse. I'm looking down on 2nd Street. I don't see what I need to see. This isn't what was promised me. I know it isn't fair at times, but I don't think I can bear tonight to not see what I want to see. Looking down on 2nd Street, looking out on 2nd Street. Thank you, Tom. Yes, I have to be to work in just an hour or two. So I brush my teeth while I still look out for you. I set the white flag on the countertop, 'cause darling, I refuse. I'm looking down on 2nd Street. I don't see what I need to see. This isn't what was promised me. I know it isn't fair at times, but I don't think I can bear tonight to not see what I want to see. Looking down on 2nd Street, looking out on 2nd Street. I don't see what I need to see. Looking out on 2nd Street. Looking out on 2nd Street. Randy wrote something and it vanished already. That's how they show up on my cell phone. They show up for a minute and then they vanish. But anyway, the 3 tunes that I wrote that dug me out of that slump in 2011. And then it's like 2 months later before we went to Hawaii. Bought the ukulele. So these things aren't in chronological order. But I wrote 3 more ukulele songs that year that I'm going to play. Thank you, Linda. You know, before I do this, I should announce actually, because I'm sure you're wondering about this. You know, I've gone into the 21st century now. You know, my new CD. My new CD, A Mile Offshore, you know, now is available for streaming. You can buy it, you can stream it. It's on all the services. I've seen it on Amazon, I've seen it on iTunes, I've seen it on Spotify. It's on YouTube. It's on a bunch of, and you can stream it, you know. And so because I realized I had to do that because CDs are dying out. Now, if there's anybody there that wants one that doesn't have one yet, just send me an email with your mailing address on it, and I'll get one to you. I'll get you an actual CD. But if you want to go on, you know, if you're on iTunes or whatever, Amazon, you know, you can stream it. But I have to say, you know, I've been concerned because they're not going to do CDs anymore. So I've got to adapt to this new technology. So I did it. You know, I went on. It dropped on all the streaming services on Friday, and it's changed my life. Really, it's changed. I have to say, it's changed my life. I'd actually, if this is a live audience, I'd make you guess how many times my songs have been streamed in just 4 days. Since it's gone down there. And I know because there's all these services that can tell me, you know, how many times it's being streamed, how many times it's being bought, where it's being streamed to, who it's being streamed to, and everything. I should make you guess, you know. And don't say 0 because that's insulting. It's not 0. Randy, that's very good. Thank you, Randy. He says 100, you know. And I have to tell you one thing. I noticed somebody put this up on Facebook. Somebody put this up on Facebook yesterday. How much you make when your songs are streamed, and Alex is going to up it by 1. Like this is what that game that they play on TV where you buy stuff in the store and everything. But I guess every time somebody streams one of my songs, I get like 3 1,000ths of a penny. That's how much money I get. So the answer to the question is, how many times did they send you a spreadsheet? Well, they don't have to send me a spreadsheet because it's all digital now. I know how many times I've been streamed now, and the answer is once. In 4 days, once. I've been streamed once. And it's not the whole CD. It's that song, If You Don't Like Me, Just Pretend. Somebody streamed that on Spotify. And I know it's somebody between the ages of 45 and 54, or 35 and 44 years old, and they live in Moscow. Somebody in Moscow streamed my CD. So if I'm thinking of getting rich off of streaming, you know, right now I've already made like 3 1,000ths of a penny. You know, and it's gone overseas. It's gone to Moscow, to Russia. That's Russia. And anyway, so you know, and you may have noticed. Some of you may have also noticed. You know, I've joined Instagram. I've joined. Pinterest, not Spotify. I did join that. That's a different thing. But all these social media things, I don't know what the heck you're supposed to do with them or anything. But you know, all these services that tell you how to get people to buy and stream your music and everything. So you got to join all Pinterest, you know, and all these. I don't know what to do with some of these. I don't really know what Instagram does. You know, I tried to post a couple things on Instagram, pretty much ignored. So. at any rate, I'll probably next year I'll probably do some CDs, I think, but we'll see. But it's only been 4 days, and I don't know what it takes to get people to actually want it. I know I think if you pay the monthly fee to Apple and everything, then you can stream anything. So why don't people just stream my songs? Because why? Because they've never heard of me. Because except for you guys, this group here that's listening to me right now, nobody in the world even knows that I exist. So how do you make people know you exist? Well, you put it out on Facebook. But I've got my 5,000 Facebook friends and everything. But they're so sick of seeing my Facebook posts. They don't even read them anymore. And if they really wanted my CD, they would have just sent me an email, and I would have sent them the actual copy. But anyway, we'll see how this progresses. Let's see how it progresses. Let's see if I get another stream. Let's see if by the time, if I do this next week, see if anybody else, maybe somebody in India or China, or maybe even the United States of America, maybe somebody else will stream one of my songs. And of all the songs, If You Don't Like Me, Just Pretend, that's the only song that's got streamed in the last week. So that just is amazing. But anyway, back to my regularly scheduled subject matter. And there's a couple more. There's 3 more ukulele songs that I recorded in 2011. This is one of them. This is probably the closest thing to sounding like what a ukulele song generally sounds like. Oh yeah, now I got to turn it up again. I had to turn it down when I went from ukulele to guitar. Now I got to turn it up again. Much better. That's better. Okay, let's do this. I made my peace with what you did. In every love there's one who has to run and one who must forgive. And I'd rather be me than chase a naive fantasy than hold your view of the world where no love can succeed. I'm naive, just saying I'm naive. I'll take the foot, wear the name, wear that badge, there's worse things I could be. I could be like you, never even try. Safe at home, away from me, and lonely till I die. And I'd rather be me, chase a naive fantasy, than hold your view of the world where no love can succeed. I'm naive, saying I'm naive. I'll take the fall, take the name, wear that badge, there's worse things I could be. I could be like you, never even try. Safe at home, away from me, and lonely till I die. I'm naive, I'm naive. Someday you'll wish that you were me. I always go right into this one. Hard cast and tempered steel, rusted with tears from the heartbreak and fears that I never feel. I once saw its face. You let down the defenses, soon regained your senses, and I gave up the chase. How does it feel to question what was sure, not be one bit more secure behind a hard cast and tempered steel? If I could just talk to you just like before, maybe I'll fall short, or I might break through. How does it feel to question what was sure, not be one bit more secure behind a hard cast and tempered steel? Behind a hard cast and tempered steel. Now, and then that goes right into this next one, which is the last ukulele song that I'll play. And the story behind this one, it's called Springbrook. I was watching CNN back in 2011, later in the year, and they're having a hurricane in northern United States. And this was hitting like Vermont. It was hitting Vermont. And they were having flooding in Vermont. And hurricanes, you know, they hit the places that are by the ocean, and Vermont's kind of in the hills. It's away from the ocean. So that was kind of amazing, you know, what was happening then from a meteorological standpoint. It was before Katrina, so, you know, it wasn't, Katrina kind of took all the wind out of, this is Hurricane Irene. We've all forgotten about Hurricane Irene because we had Katrina. 95 miles inland, I grew up in the highlands. They'll tell you the high water mark is 20 miles downstream. They told me it was coming. The horses took off running. I just smiled and grabbed the cold one and sat down at the TV. Then all hell broke loose. I'm screaming like a baby, and there's no one here to save me. Springbrook, rise and carry me away. I could walk across you yesterday, can't do that today. Springbrook, you're not welcome in my yard. I've never seen you rise this far in my whole life in these parts. In the Norman Rockwell painting, you may never see it raining. You may catch yourself complaining about the unrelenting sun. But Irene, she came calling. The hard rain started falling. So be careful what you wish for, because someday that may come. In my kayak, about 3 yards above the creek bed, it was something that my niece said. She said, Springbrook, rise and carry me away. I could walk across you yesterday, can't do that today. Springbrook, you're not welcome in my yard. I've never seen you rise this far in my whole life in these parts. These things don't happen in Vermont. I just lived here in Maine. Never had a hurricane. Springbrook, rise and carry me away. I could walk across you yesterday, can't do that today. Springbrook, you're not welcome in my yard. I've never seen you rise this far in my whole life in these parts. In my whole life in these parts. I lived my whole life in these parts. Springbrook, the last of my ukulele songs from 2011. The last of the songs I'll play from 2011. The last song that I've got memorized from Year of the Jumping Flea, 10 years ago. I figured 2021 is winding down. Why not take that nostalgic road trip back to 2011 and see what we were doing that year? So, Down to my last song, which, as you know, is not from 2011. Or 2001, or 1991, or 1981. It's from 2020. It's always my last song. I'm going to finish with it today. Thank you for listening today. I'm still wrestling with Facebook about how to do these things. Looks like we had a few people on today. There's a way to do this, which is the way I usually do it, and then after I'm done with my live stream, people get on, and sometimes there'll be like 300 people watch this over the course of the week afterwards. And last week it was like 30. I messed up somehow last week, and I think it had to do with switching I switched around from this to my release party for my album, but I don't know. But anyway, you guys are here and you're listening, and I appreciate it. I appreciate having the regular audience, and it makes it worthwhile. And I'll be back next week doing something else. And thank you, Linda. And as far as I know, I'm going to be doing the New Year's Eve thing again. I'll go as late as I can. I want to at least go to 3 in the morning 2 in the morning our time, so I can do the Happy New Year's to Massachusetts, Iowa, and then to Phoenix and Denver and whoever's in Mountain Time, and then California. And, last year I went for 12 and a half hours. We'll see how long I go this year. I may be able to say Happy New Year's to the Hawaiians. I don't know. The Hawkeyes are going to be playing at noon Iowa time, so I'm definitely going to be done playing after 14 hours. I don't know that I'll go 14 hours. I planned for 4 last year, and I went 12 and a half. We'll see how much gumption I've got. And there is a possibility, by the way, that I may get on early in the afternoon and do something when the time changes in England and Africa. Because we have people from England and Africa. Thank you, Tom, who watch this live stream from time to time. So I'll see about that. But we'll go from there. And then now that I've got my guy in Moscow, of course Moscow's that's like Australia. It's already the 2nd of January by the time we get to that. Anyway, that's coming up. It's coming up in just 3 weeks. There's only 3 weeks left in this year. It's not like last year when everybody said, thank God this year is over. This year hasn't been anything really to write home about either too much, but better than last year. We haven't had a derecho yet. Anyway, thank you again for listening, and I'll be back with something hopefully next week. Thank you, Randy. I've been doing this for all of my life. It's the one thing I know. Thank you, Alex. And it's brought me to a few hidden corners of the globe. Now we're sailing into that stage in life. Started taking it slow. But I still dream the dream. Doubt I'll ever let it go. Hi to everybody that is. I will stay where I can play. Some dark corner or a stage. I've got something for whatever you can pay. I'm not a complicated man. All I'm asking is to stand here. If you let me have an hour with this Martin in my hand. With this Martin in my hand. Is that Pat? On a little bench on 2nd and Grand sits a man with a horn. He's been playing there since almost a year I was born. And it used to be a joke with my friends. I would wind up like him. Now I see him and I realize how lucky he's been. I will play where I can play, some dark corner or a stage. I've got something for whatever you can pay. I'm not a complicated man. All I'm asking is to stand here if you let me have an hour with this Martin in my hand. With this Martin in my hand. It's not the best thing for my health. I'm not acquiring great wealth. I go on because I owe it to myself. I'm not reaching for the stars. Things will stay the way they are. But I keep plugging, though I may never get that far. I will play where I can play, some dark corner or a stage. I've got something for whatever you can pay. I'm not a complicated man. All I'm asking is to stand here if you let me have an hour with this Martin in my hands. With this Martin in my hands, I will play where I can play, some dark corner or a stage. I've got something for whatever you can pay. I'm not a complicated man. All I'm asking is to stand here if you let me have an hour with this Martin in my hands. With this Martin in my hands. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Have a nice rest of the week.